Everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that this guy follows. I'm going to give you my financial opinions, and if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I go into individual companies, individual sectors, and we look and try to dig through all the opportunities to find value and also to find the largest upside potential with the best asymmetric opportunities in the world that I can find and try to get good entry points in them. So we are running a special holidays is the coupon code if you'd like to join. So let's dive in. Let's see what's going on today in the markets. We've got continued weakness in the DXY. Heading lower, and we're coming and intersecting that support level here very shortly. So big move down today in the DXY, down 0.6%, and that does give us a little bit of a tailwind behind assets that are priced in dollars. Now looking at yields were up a little bit today, but they still look like they could fall lower. Why do I say that? We have large selling pressure in this kind of circle here, the big red candlesticks in relationship to the green candlesticks, the size of them. Generally, when you head lower, you get big selling pressure moves and you have very weak bounces. And we still have very weak bounces in terms of yields. So I think that yields are subject to a further fall until we see that start to change. The 10-year yield is also continuing to fall. We were up a little bit today, and we'll see if we get any sort of bounce tomorrow or next week as we do have a bullish engulfing. We could bounce higher, but we got to see what that bounce looks like. Momentum, downside. TYX, which is the 30-year, looks like we've got a little bit of buying pressure today, up 0.82%. Are we trying to get a little bit of support going across here? So yeah, we are. We're getting a little bit of support. I can draw something a little bit better than what I did there. And that's the support level we're hitting is on the 30-year. Now we'll have to see what bounce we get out of this. If it's a strong bounce, maybe we can start to head higher back to that resistance level. If it's a weak bounce, maybe we roll back over. I can't tell you what that looks like yet, but momentum's to the downside and we're getting a bounce at support. TYX TNX ratio higher today, which is generally a tailwind behind gold. So if this continues up, it will be a tailwind behind gold. If this rolls over and heads back lower, where the yield curve further inverts the 30-year versus the 10-year, it will be a headwind if it inverts. Bond prices were slightly lower today, and it does look like we could head a little bit lower in the short term, where we could get a bounce in yields to the upside. This is a bearish engulfing, and we could head back to that support zone. A lot of the times we break through resistance, we get a return move, and then we head back perhaps higher or wherever it wants to go. But short term, it looks like bond prices could go down and yields could go up. Gold, putting in a bullish engulfing, looks like we could potentially head higher in gold. And I know that kind of goes counter to what yields and bond prices are doing, but it is a bullish engulfing that we put in today, and it does look good to try to go higher in the short term. Silver also heading higher. It's right on that long-term resistance line that we're at. And I'm getting ultra bullish here, guys, on silver. I really want to see this thing break to the upside and get moving. I do think that the potential for a very large move in silver could be right in front of us if we can get that breakout. So very interested to see where silver goes here over the next few weeks. Platinum down a little bit, but still I'm bullish on platinum. It still looks good. We've broken out of this consolidation we've been working our way on higher. And palladium's still looking very good. I think palladium looks fantastic here, guys. I think we've got a long way to go higher with time. It's going to grind its way on up. So very big kind of short selling squeeze there. And then we still have small selling pressure. So it looks good. XEU to gold ratio, that is also up 1% today. And again, guys, I am getting very excited for what I hope is a potential break here in the short term, hopefully short term, where we break that long-term downtrend line. That long-term downtrend line will be very good for people who own gold and silver mining companies. We haven't broken out yet, but hopefully we can get breaking that here very soon. CRB index down a hair today. We are up against this resistance line that we've come up and hit our head on, and it's not much selling pressure. Keep in mind that this is very heavy weight in oil, and if yields go up, generally oil goes up with it. So interesting to see what we'll see over the next few trading days, weeks as we go, and I think we could potentially break and start a move up in the CRB index. CRB to S&P 500, we had a nice kind of bottoming move here, and we've just been moving sideways since that. And this is what it looks like on a longer term basis. And hopefully we can get a move on up here at some point in the future. GDX up today. We're just holding sideways. We do have a bearish engulfing yesterday. That generally indicates a move lower, and we'll see how this actually plays out. GDXJ is the same setup, and SILJ is the same setup. Bearish patterns or candlesticks yesterday, and we're holding on, but we're up against support in a lot of these. There's your support line. I want to see this thing rip. I really, really do, guys. I want to see this thing rip on all of these. And we're above the trend lines in almost every single one. This is GDXJ here. So I am going to remain very bullish on GDX, GDXJ, SILJ, and the mining companies. Crude oil down a little bit today, down 0.32%, but we've put in a bottoming pattern. This is the bottoming pattern here. So, well, I got to back out a little bit more. Here's your kind of your double bottom. This one's offset slightly lower, which is a slingshot higher. We've come on up, and we're still above the support level here. So we're up above support. And I think depending where yields go, I think this could be trying to put in a bottom and work its way on up. Looks good. TTF gas up 3.25%. Not too bad of a day, but again, the momentum's still to the downside. We got to base this thing out first. Try to rotate and turn that momentum to the upside. Nat gas putting in a big bullish engulfing here. Very bullish chart pattern here, or candlestick, I should say. And maybe we can get some momentum to the upside from nat gas. Looks really good. I would be looking at some of your favorite natural gas producers and maybe trying to figure out if you want to add to the positions for the members there. You know my favorite companies. XOP, yeah, you know me, holding on strong, which is good. We've got some resistance coming across here, and we're trying to punch through that resistance. That's on the short term. The longer term, we're still in the right-hand shoulder of a shoulder, head, shoulder, and I think we'll break that and work our way up when nat gas and oil start to move to the upside. We've got OIH up 0.6% today. Again, it still looks good, and I think we're going to work our way on higher. It looks like we've got a lot of resistance in this general area that we're in. Could be an inverted head and shoulders as well. Shoulder, head, shoulder that we're trying to put in right here. Physical Uranium Trust, still inside this pattern, guys. And again, I'm still bullish on this. I want to see where this thing breaks. A lot of people are throwing in the towel, not me. I'm going to wait and see where this thing breaks. It looks pretty strong here still. And we could very well break this rising wedge to the upside and go into a very big move to the upside if we break. URA looking good, up 3.7%. We've got URNM up 3.9, bouncing off support, so that's good. So that's very good. And we've got a little downtrend line there on the short term. We haven't broken that yet. And then URNJ up 4.89%, also another strong bounce off support. TAN up 4.8%. Surprising. We had that weird selling pressure day yesterday that kind of spooked me. Do we still have a little bit of downside pressure, or are the buyers coming in saying, no, we're just going to go higher? Tough to say here. We have an indication across the board of this big, selling pressure move yesterday. So we'll see if we can blow right through it, or if we've got more downside left in this thing. COPX moving on up 2.33%, looking pretty strong there. I think that looks fantastic. Lithium up to 2.3%. There's lithium. It's holding on there. It's looking good. Got a little bit of resistance support. Looks like we're trying to put in a base here. That's basing out. Looks good. REMX is doing the same thing. I think this will eventually work its way on up. It looks pretty solid here, guys. It does look solid. S&P 500 up. And are we going to break, make new highs, or are we going to turn and head lower? That's what's on my mind. And let's wait and get more data here in the next couple of trading sessions. Same with the NASDAQ. Same with the NASDAQ. And that's where your kind of double top could potentially occur. And I'm just seeing, I don't own anything in the S&P and NASDAQ, but you know, I doubt that we are just going to cruise higher if these really start to sell off. And maybe they're in there buying this stuff with printed money. That's why gold and Bitcoin and all those are starting to move higher, and all the other commodities, because they're creating money, and that money's finding assets. KRE up 1%, still looks good to go higher. This is just a flag pattern. Still looks good to go higher, and we've got support underneath us. So it looks good to go on up. That's a bloody nose on the weekly. Just a little down week. Emerging markets on up today. We had a weaker dollar, and we were bouncing on support, so that looks good for emerging markets. We've got XHB, which is also just moving sideways and still looks good to go higher. Could there be a return move to this guy here? Very well could. So even if we get a little bit of selling pressure, it's probably just going to be a return move. But this still looks fantastic for a move up. I don't see any reversal candlesticks or anything like that in the short term for the home builders. Moo up 1.5%, looks good to go higher. So that looks good. And yeah, that's what I'll say there. Looks like it's trying to put in a bottom here and work its way on up eventually. Copper is still looking good, up 0.5%, putting in a bullish engulfing. It looks good to go higher. And that is on top of a resistance line that we've broken to the upside. Iron ore is still working its way on up, just barely up today, but that still looks good to go higher. It still looks strong, very, very strong. Aluminum up a teeny bit today. We're up against that resistance area that we've hit our head on. We shot up there, hit our head, and I think we are going to continue higher based off of what those candlesticks look like. And this does, to me, look like an accumulation cylinder where we're going to rip to the upside. Baltic Dry Index down 3%, but again, I think this looks good to go higher. Why do I keep wanting to say that? Because the breakout here, your projected price move is here, and we've been just moving up in these waves. So I think eventually we'll get there with Baltic Dry Index. Newcastle coal up 2.6%. That looks good to go higher still, and that looks really good for for Newcastle coal. And this is just a retest move. Looks really good spot to accumulate down here. Bitcoin continuing to move higher. That looks good to keep going up with this continuation pattern. And Ethereum's the same thing. It's just another continuation pattern that I think we could potentially continue higher here in the short term. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys want to know what individual companies to play all these with. But overall, everything looks pretty good today. I look pretty good. We do have a couple of bearish engulfings that are still hanging out there, and we could still pull back. It is possible in some of these that have those bearish engulfings. But overall, I'm surprised with the selling pressure yesterday, but also surprised at how strong we're bouncing today. So maybe we can just kind of negate that move yesterday. I don't think yet. I wouldn't say that yet. But things are looking good across the board, and hopefully crude oil can put together a little bottom here and start moving its way on up. Something's going on where we're seeing everything go up. When everything goes up, it generally deals with liquidity. And I think liquidity is coming into the market. That's what I see. Bitcoin, gold, silver, those look like they all look ready to rip higher. And those are generally good indications of liquidity. And if everything is going up all at the same time, more money's in the system. Or more money's being deployed that is already in the system into the stock market. But that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up. Don't forget that we've got a 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time question and answer session coming up on Saturday as a reminder. We'll see you there if you're part of the community, and where you can ask me wherever you want. And that's what I've got for today. So we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.